Hey everyone, and welcome back to my garden. My name is Megan and this is my homestead. Today is July 11th and this will be my second garden tour of the season. Some things have changed around here and we've had a lot of interesting weather, a lot of thunderstorms and really heavy rainfalls, and also really hot and humid days. Today is one of those also, and we are expecting another thunderstorm. So let's try to get this filmed before it rains on us. We're gonna start behind us, or behind you in the 20 by 20 bed. And yeah, let's get started. So in this 20 by 20 bed, things are going cracked. We have a row of Paul Robson tomatoes here, and some of which were supposed to be peppers on the inside. Not all of those got planted. Some of them didn't make it through those heavy rains. They were very small, and we had dampening off outdoors, which I've struggled with occasionally in the past. Last year we had a 200 millimeter rain event, and I did have some seedlings in at that time, so I did struggle with that a bit. Also, when we have these really big rain events, when things aren't well established, we can struggle a bit. So I found that that is something that I've been struggling with. I'm not sure if my beds aren't draining enough or if it's just too hot and humid. But these Paul Robsons are looking great. I've been out and pruned them. Let's get you a different angle. So like I said, I've pruned them. So I have pruned the lower branches and I've taken off any suckers. Paul Robsons are an indeterminate tomato. So that means that they will just keep on growing until the frost or something else kills them. And I find they get really big and bushy. They make nice, really big beefsteak tomatoes. They're really meaty and I enjoy using them for canning. Chris also loves them on his hamburgers and sandwiches, so they're one of his favorites. These guys are looking great. They're starting to set some flowers. They're not quite opened yet. Let's see. So you can see the flowers there. They've not quite opened up yet. That's fine. It is July 11th here. I won't have an anticipated first frost until September, so hopefully these guys will have lots of time to continue to set fruit. So this whole row is Paul Robson's here, and we'll move on to our next one. So this row here is our tomatillos. These are our Amarillo tomatillos. They're coming along very well. They've flowered. You can see some of them here flowering. And some of them are even starting to lantern, meaning the flowers have hopefully been pollinated and will turn into a husk and start growing a tomatillo inside. These guys always do really well for me, and I would anticipate to have fruit by the end of July, really early August. And then start making salsa verde. So I'm very excited. It's definitely one of my favorite things I grow in the garden. Salsa verde is expensive here in Nova Scotia. I believe a 500 milliliter jar was like $8. So this is something that I find is saving me money by growing it in the garden. Plus it tastes better. Alright, so this is my row of Fundy tomatoes. Fundy tomatoes are a determinate tomato, meaning they grow to a determinate height and then stop. It's usually advised that you don't prune determinate tomatoes, because if you make a mistake, you can actually top that tomato and then it won't grow any taller. And yeah, that can be a struggle. For me, I've been having a lot of splashback on the lower leaves, and I'm really worried about fungal issues, so I pruned my determinate tomatoes. Some people might be, really thinking that this is the wrong or incorrect thing to do, but for me, I'm trying to prevent these plants from getting sick, so I will prune the lower branches of my determinate tomatoes. And that's just a choice that I make and I found works best for me. This is probably because I'm planting things very closely. I'm struggling with that splashback from those really heavy rains. Even though we have the mulch in place, they've been quite dirty, and I just want to make sure that I keep my plants as healthy as I can. So this here is my row of Cosmonaut tomatoes. So Cosmonauts are also a determinate variety. For me, they're one of my favorites. They produce pretty early. They're setting a lot of flowers at the moment, and I pruned these too. So those lower leaves have really been quite dirty, as I said. You can see here, this is one of my tomatoes that has had some splashback overnight. There's a lot of mud on those lower leaves. So I'm just trying to give that plant a fighting chance. I'll probably come back through here and prune in a few days, but where I'm expecting another heavy rain today, this wouldn't be the best day to go through and prune more tomatoes. So like I said, these plants are doing really well. They're growing up, they're trellising. I'm really happy with the growth. Our last tour was 2 weeks ago, and I think the comparison will be pretty drastic. And this here is another row of Paul Robsons. They're also doing really well. I have pruned them. You can see some of those lower leaves are almost starting to touch the ground again. They get really, really big because they're such large tomatoes. So yeah, we'll just try to keep on top of some of that pruning. It's probably been about 3 or 4 days since I pruned last, and these have just continued to grow. I'll hopefully get in there and start getting some of those suckers off these plants too before they develop too largely. On the other side, we have peppers. I'm just going to move you over there. Whoop. Some of these peppers have also struggled, and some of them are doing fantastically. You can see this is the reason I use weed fabric. Look at all these weeds that have come up. This was previously a lawn, and there's still a lot of grass seeds in there. So by using the plastic mulch or landscape fabric, I'm helping myself to not have the entire bed look like this. I do need to come back and give that pepper a bit more of a fighting chance, and that's fine. So this is one of my hot wax peppers. They're doing really well, and I'm quite hopeful for them. I did lose some cayennes especially, and you can see I've got a tray set down here. I will transplant where my previous peppers failed and work on getting those healthy and hopefully established. Like I said, with this rain, it's just been really tricky. If you have any tips to help with that, they'd be greatly appreciated. I have fertilized for a seedling kind of dose, I guess, rather than the transplant dose. Because these plants aren't really big and established, I didn't want to fertilize too heavily. Maybe I need to be fertilizing more. Let me know in the comments below if you have any tips or tricks for better transplanting your peppers. Alright, a full row of garlic here. You can see those leaves are starting to die back. I cut the scapes about 15 days ago, and I was considering pulling these today. It's been really wet and my soil is still really damp, and I'm not sure if I should be pulling the garlic bulbs when there's so much moisture. So I'm going to do a bit more research, and if I can, I might pull these before the rain today. We'll see what happens. If not, it might be a weekend project, but for now the garlic's looking really great. We've got those 3 beds here in this 20 by 20 garden, so I'm gonna skip the rest of those so hopefully we don't get rained on, and show you what else we have. Okay, this bed is real life. You can see what used to be a path here on the left and one again on the right side. There's a lot of grass growing up through here, and I think some ants killed my pepper plants. So I've transplanted jalapenos in this bed in some areas twice. Some of them are really well established, like this one. And then there are other spaces over here where there's nothing. The plant has just disappeared. So I put out some ant stakes, and I'm hoping to kind of conquer some of these really, really large ant hills that I have in the vegetable garden. Not knowing if those are what's killing my plants or if it might be earwigs or something else. It's just been a tricky year with all this moisture. So we'll see what we can do. For now, we've definitely got some peppers, and this bed could really use some weeding and TLC. Okay, in this last bed, in this 20 by 20 bed, we have our unstacked green stalks. So I unstacked these, or Chris did for me, because we were expecting our neighbor to come with his tractor and do some landscaping for us, including in the area where these had previously been placed. He's not been able to come up as of yet, most likely due to the rain and the extreme heat warnings. It's been 38 degrees Celsius here with the Humidex. I'll put a note what that is in Fahrenheit for you below. So it's been outrageously humid, and here in Canada we're just not used to this kind of heat, and we're not handling it well. So hopefully he can make it up in the next week or so. I'm really anxious to get my additional garden bed sorted and to get these put back in place. But I do have a few surprises hiding in these because they're doing so well. So let's take you in closer and see what we've got. So in my green stalks, I have a different variety of strawberries, and they are setting ripe fruit. I'm so excited. This is their first year in the green stalk, and last year when I did this in the garden, I got no fruit from those strawberries. So super excited. I'll be out to pick those this evening. There's some more over there, and they've not been eaten by the ants like the ones in the front garden beds. This wild jungle here is our Cherry Falls tomatoes that are in our green stalks. They've been doing great. They've set flowers, and I can't wait to see some of these little cherry tomatoes. I expected the plants to be much smaller and to tumble, and that is not what's happening at all. You can see they're quite upright. They've got a lot of flowers set on them, and they're very large and bushy. I've pruned these also. But yeah, not sure if I'll put them in the green stalks again next year because they're so much bigger than I expected, but I'm happy they seem to be thriving here for the time being. Quick look at some of our jalapenos in those green stalk pockets. And I think I have earwig damage here. So I may have to start setting some homemade traps to get rid of these. They've been quite the issue in a few places in the garden this year. Over here on this side, there's not a whole lot of contrast from the weeds, but those herbs are doing well. We've got our summer savory, parsley, sage, oregano, cilantro that has gone to seed. That's fine. I'll let it go to seed and maybe harvest those seeds as coriander, or just to save seeds for more cilantro in the future. Some thyme and that oregano over here. So another quick look at that 20 by 20 bed. Sea of garlic. Can't wait to get this out of here. I've got plans to lay the 4-foot wide fabric to cover the paths and hopefully deal with some of the weeds, and to transplant some cucumbers, or pardon, direct seed some cucumbers and other things. Okay, so back in the 25 by 50 garden, this is what I call the big garden. So this bed is still very much undecided. It's really covered in weeds. I was hoping when that neighbor would come to do some garden work for me, I'm also expecting a load of soil. And I was really hoping to top this up with some nice garden soil that I am due to have delivered before trying to seed anything else. I may also get some help this weekend in pruning some of these trees here to our left. They've grown in a bit, and I think they're really shading out this bed quite a bit more than what I would expect. So hopefully if we get some of these trimmed back a bit, we can get some better afternoon sun when the sun travels directly over the garden bed. In our next row here we have peppers. They're doing better than some of the peppers in other areas. I've lost less. I have 2 spots that I've dug out and were active ant hills. So again, I've put the ant stakes there, just trying to take care of some of that population. They really do seem to be damaging my plants. I feel strongly about that. I know some of the scientific data says otherwise, but for me, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing ant hills and dead plants. So again, this is the mystery row of peppers, and it's still much too early to tell what type of varieties we might have. So we really just need to wait until they set fruit. This bed here is our tomatillo bed. So it is a full 50-foot row of tomatillos. These are our Toma Verde tomatillos, which is a new variety for me this year. I did make a mistake when I was planting these, and I didn't check which tomatillos I had carefully enough. but that's fine. The Toma Verde seem to be setting a lot of flowers. They're due to set a larger tomatillo than my Amarilla tomatillos, so I may be in over my head with tomatillos this year. This next row here to our right is more tomatoes, and if I don't run out of time, here, look at this sky. It's getting really dark, so hopefully we don't get too much rain or any rain before I finish this. But I've got some really nice happy tomato plants. I've got furwick down here on the end. So like I said, I have furwick, which is the German word for firework, here on the end. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that very incorrectly. Sorry guys. German is not a language I speak. But yeah, they're doing really well. They've really taken off and set a lot of flowers here. They are an indeterminate variety. Try to ignore my mess in the back. Like I said, I've got a whole lot of breathing issues. I tend to leave stuff out often, just because going to fetch stuff from the shed or from other storage places really kind of wears out my energy sometimes. So things are a little extra messy. But in front of the mess, we have a beautiful row of peas here. These were seeded late, or they germinated late, and I'm really surprised they're looking so healthy with the heat that we have. So you'll see some purple peas here. These are our magnolia peas, and they are a purple pea. They're beautiful, beautiful flowers. I'll put up some still shots of some of the flowers that I took with the new camera. They're really pretty. And the white flowers are from the green arrow peas. They are, I believe, a snap pea. I'll confirm that and put it up on the screen. They're both doing well. They're on a single trellis because I didn't have too many of those magnolia snap peas germinate. So I just kind of trellised them up together, and they're doing fine. So we'll start harvesting some peas. These are nice little garden snacks. I usually don't get too much of a harvest, but peas are a nitrogen fixer. And this is a space close to our house. You can see the front porch up here on our right. And this is where we've had a lot of cherry tomatoes for the last few years. So adding a nitrogen fixing plant in this space just really made sense to me this year. So whether I get a big harvest of peas or not, I'll still be quite happy. Just past the peas here, you can see this is the T-post for the peas. Is a approximately 10-foot section of a weedy mess. We do have a few herbs hiding in there, like sage. It's right there. And there's some Swiss chard that overwintered that's also there. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this space. It's a bit of a question mark as of yet. But I do want to get in some new soil, or at least top dress this a bit, because this area has been overwintered consecutively the last 2 years at least. I just want to add some more nutrients back into that soil and make sure it's as healthy as it can be before trying to direct seed anything else. And the next 10 feet or so are peppers, and one random lettuce plant. This is going to seed right now, or bolting. That's fine by me. It overwintered, it's doing fine, and I've been using this to feed the chicken snacks to lure them or bribe them into bed. This works well for me because the sun is setting so late right now. I'm not really willing to stay up and put the chickens in, but I have trained them to come to food and go to bed that way. Works out really well for me, and I've got a video I can link above for that on how to do that. We've got a good variety of peppers here. These are mostly pimento peppers, both Amish pimento and tangerine pimento peppers. They're doing well. They're obviously quite large and well established, so I'm really pleased. I can see that they've got some little buds on them that should open up to a flower here shortly. Hi, Mr. B. He's hiding out there on the clover. There he is. Sometimes there are benefits of not mowing the lawn. What I did want to show you was that our roulette peppers here on the end are starting to do better. These are our heatless habaneros. and I'm excited. I have 2 that are doing well here in the garden and 2 additional ones that have not done well. They're literally just little sticks in the ground. Don't know why, what's eating them. It's very frustrating. And our last 10 feet of this 50-foot bed, which is our last 50-foot bed in this 25 by 50 garden, or a big garden, is garlic. So I seeded this really densely when I had additional garlic cloves left over last year from planting in the other 20 by 20 bed. It's doing well. You see the leaves are starting to die back. That's a sign that it's almost ready to harvest. Alright, sorry you guys are on a bit of an angle. The blueberry row is here. You can see the mulch. It is in amongst the weeds at this point. But the fruit is starting to ripen. We're really excited. The birds haven't found them yet. So, bring on the delicious blueberries. We'll be out here harvesting them most likely this weekend. Alright, so you can see here some ripe blueberries. This is just one of our high bush varieties. Unfortunately, I don't know what is what. I know Patriot is for sure one of the varieties we have of high bush, and we have at least 2 of those. But I can't remember what else we have. This is kind of the joys of gardening. You get stuff, especially perennials, and instantaneously forget what you planted. So hopefully we get it before whatever left these droppings gets it. Alright, so in front of the house we still have hops going like crazy. I'll get you some different angles like I did last time. They are really starting to grow up and take over that trellis, doing really, really well. In front of the steps here, or porch here, we still have some strawberries doing okay. They're definitely coming to the end of their season for that June bearing variety. And hopefully I'll have my ever-bearing varieties here setting fruits shortly. Some of the hydrangeas in the flower bed, our remaining flowers, are starting to bloom too. They should be pretty really soon. We've got those roulette tomatoes here, or pardon, peppers in the pots. They're still going okay. They're still really, really tiny. Definitely not seeing the growth on them that I'm seeing from the ones in the garden beds. You can see our hop here doing great. Some garlic leaves that I've dropped over. And just going up there. Maybe. You can also see a sprocket on the camping sofa. Hi, buddy. More hydrangeas just starting to bloom, and a whole bunch of hot mess continuing in the flower garden. More hydrangeas on the other side of the stairs, a hosta that's just starting to flower, and our feverfew and yarrow. Here on the end of the porch, mixed in with our third hop, we have clematis. Clematis was left here by the previous homeowners. It's doing really well and set its nice purple flowers. So we're happy to have it there. We've got the hydrangea at the base here that should be coming in bloom soon. And a hosta that does much better here on the right because it is shaded for part of the day. So yeah. Thanks for coming along to the garden tour, guys. I'll try to have these every week to 2 weeks, depending on the forecast and weather. And I'll catch you on the next one. If you have questions or want to know more about varieties, let me know in the comments below.